afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Against the Grain podcast for the Zozo Championship. Sorry, it's a little bit later here. I've been going through what I call a system upgrade over the last 24 hours where I decided to get a new computer. I got some new equipment sent in from the guys at Awesemo, trying to get just a little bit better every single week, because if you're not getting better and you're being complacent, then that's no fun for anybody. So sorry it's an hour or two late here, but still the information is going to be given. And this is the most fun pod. I get to talk about ownership. I don't have to worry about, if a golfer's come in the top 10, top 20 recently, or anything like that. We're just going to talk specifically about ownership. It is the third and final short-form podcast of the weekly Awesemo Golf podcast series, which, of course, find all of them on our podcast website. All you got to do is go to awesemo.com, see the banner across the top, click the Awesemo Podcast Network, scroll over, find golf, click it, and you're going to have all three that I do each and every week come up, and you'll be able to listen through your favorite podcast provider, Apple, Spotify, wherever you decide to listen. It'll be up there. So let's go ahead and jump right in now. And as I do each and every week, I give you the top 10 projected from Awesemo. Of course, he's got one of the best projections out there. We go through it quite a bit on a weekly basis, asking questions, talking about who's trending up, who's trending down. So certainly take a look at those. So this week, Awesemo projecting Webb Simpson at $9,700. He's going to be the highest owned guy. It's more around 26 to 27%. Jon Rahm going to be next, somewhere around 20%. And Rory McIlroy, also around 20%. 19 is the projection. Justin Thomas coming in just below that, 18.4%. Xander Schauffele, he's coming in at around 17%. He's the highest priced golfer on the slate with a full field. It's been quite a long time. In fact, it might be one of the only times that something like that has even happened. So no surprise to see his ownership come down from the 22 or so percent last week. Then we got Harris English, who had a good week last week. He's coming in at 8,900, 15 to 16% owned. Adam Scott, 7,900, going to come in around 15% owned as well. Ty Hatton, who was about 5% owned last week, he's at $10,000, roughly the same price. I'm sure more golfers will go to hit 15% this week. Sungjae Im gets a price decrease and played okay last week. He'll be around 15%. And Matthew Fitzpatrick rounds out the top 10. He's projected at about 14% owned this week. $8,300 seen as good value, plus coming off of basically now two good starts in a row. We're going to switch into the focus of the article, and it is, of course, a no-cut event here at the Zozo Championship. And 78 golfers that we have in the field, and we're going to do, as we've been doing for the past couple of times, I like the flow of it a little bit better. Looking at the top 10 golfers, which this week ranges from 12,000, not 12,000, 11.2 is the top, but the range that I say it's in is 12,000 to 9,400. We've seen 12,000 a couple of times this year, but not that many. 10 golfers, total of ownership around 150%. Obviously, a couple of them I just went over, like Jon Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, all of them going to be around 20%, as well as Webb Simpson. Jon Rahm and Xander Schauffele going to come in between 17 and 20. Now, though, after that, it gets interesting. Ty Hatton is the next one. He'll be around 14%. But after that, got Patrick Reed coming back over from Europe. Took last week off and now playing here this week at Sherwood after his third-place finish at the BMW Championship. $9,600, maybe that's the reason why people don't want to own him as much. He's only going to be about 13% owned. And then Colin Morikawa and Patrick Cantlay, two California boys playing in Malibu this week. I don't know why nobody wants to own them, but I certainly will. They're coming in around 12% owned this week, some of the lowest owned guys of the top 10, but not lower owned than Tony Finau, who, as we all know, has been out with COVID the last 2 weeks. Maybe there's a bit of a lag. We've seen Scotty Scheffler come back and kind of struggle to get his footing back, or his elite footing back, I should say. Dylan Fratelli, Dennis McCarthy went through something similar when they first came back. So maybe a little bit of a lag time from Tony Finau. Plus his price at $9,500, I suspect he'll be under 10% owned this week. In terms of my top against the grain plays, I think I already mentioned there, Cantlay and Morikawa. I mean, I'm getting the combined, let's just say 25% ownership on them. If that's what Webb Simpson is going to be alone, I feel like I'm getting a lot more leverage with Cantlay and Morikawa. And I certainly believe that Cantlay and Morikawa are A, as good as Webb Simpson, and B, have as much opportunity to win the golf tournament as Webb Simpson does. So I understand the safety net that Simpson provides, especially in a smaller course, A lot of par fives, maybe a lot of wedges for him on those par fives. Plus, obviously, he's one of the best putters in the world. I totally get it, but the way that I play, I would rather take the ownership discount and bet on Cantlay and Morikawa to beat Simpson this week. All right, let's go ahead and now head into numbers 11 through 32 priced golfers. It's roughly about that. I think it's 11 through 31 this week. 20 golfers. The pricing range is 9,400 to 7,500. Total ownership of about 210% coming from these guys, with the highest owned guy, as I mentioned in the Awesemo slot, is Harris English. He's going to come in around 15% this week. Next will be Joaquin Neiman. He is trending upwards, no doubt about that. He's going to come in around 14 or 15%, as will Victor Hovland, who has no top 10s, but 4 straight top 15s, looking like he's getting that type of ball striking form back. So Victor Hovland, like him this week. Danny Berger going to be around 12 to 15%, as is Sungjae Im, who we mentioned at the top from Awesemo, around 13, 14, 15%. We've got Russell Henley checking in. Adam Scott also around 15%. Then we got Russell Henley, Abraham Answer, Hideki Matsuyama, all checking in around 12 to 15% on this week. Before we get into a little bit of a break here in this pricing section, I suspect Matt Wolff, Scotty Scheffler to be around 10 to 11% on this week. Matt Fitzpatrick, obviously, Awesemo's got him a little bit higher owned projected than I do, but I'm probably not accounting for 2 good starts in a row, plus a cheap price at $8,300 for Matt Fitzpatrick. So he'll probably be higher than the 10.56 or 5.9 that I have projected. Probably be more like 12 to 15%. But with all that allocation going to all these guys, there's certainly plenty of opportunities. I count about 6 or 7, maybe even upwards of 8 golfers that you should get under 10% owned this week, including Ricky Fowler, Bubba Watson. The reason why Bubba's going to be lower owned is because he's coming in with the highest salary difference from the previous week, around $1,600 or $1,700 more expensive. So, it's more than likely than not that will end up affecting ownership a little bit. Then we got Paul Casey, been on a bad run of form, so he's going to be about 8% owned. Tommy Fleetwood's price hasn't dropped, even though his form kind of has dropped off. He's going to be about 8% owned. Tiger Woods, he hasn't played well really in quite some time now. He'll be about 8 to 10% owned. Jason Kokrak coming off a win, and nobody likes to roster the winners, especially at $8,600 for a guy that hasn't won in quite some time. He'll be about 7% owned. Jason Day, interesting what they're going to do with him, as he's obviously a withdrawal candidate again this week. It's projected at about 7% owned, but I don't know that I'll have any. I don't play Jason Day in no-cut events. I've said that many times, and I'm going to stick to it. And the one opportunity I think we'll get at 5% or below in this price range from these 20 golfers will be Phil Mickelson at $7,500, coming in at 4.91%. Now, why I like Phil Mickelson this week, honestly, he's coming off a win on the Champions Tour, which we know we can't put too much stock in, right? It's the Champions Tour. It's obviously not the same amount of competition. There's just a lot of things that go on with it. But still, he's playing pretty good golf, and we know we're going to get 4 rounds out of him. And we know with his style of play, especially on par 5s, he's going to have plenty of birdie looks. So at 7,500 and less than 5%, I like him for my GPP lineups this week, and I'll play him as the top against the green play here in this middle tier section. Okay, before we move on to our bottom tier section, and of course, if you want all of this information, go ahead and become an Awesemo Plus member. I give it all away to you as an Awesemo Plus member in my weekly PGA DFS model, plus so much more. I give away all the strokes gained information, all the DraftKings points, all the DraftKings field rank, and just so much more. Plus, if you become an Awesemo Plus member, you're also going to get all of Awesemo's projections, which if you combined Awesemo's projections and my projections last week and built out 75 lineups, you would have hit the nuts in the $5. You would have come in first. Lineup number 69 was the nuts last week. So there's just so much on the Awesemo Plus side that we offer. And if you want to try us out, just $8.95 to try us out for a week. You want to try everything we offer, not just golf, not just PGA DFS stuff, but also PGA NFL DFS and so much more. $29.95 for the Platinum Plus Pass, weekly pass that gives you access to everything we have to offer on the premium side. And, of course, if you're looking to join us more for a longer-term commitment on the golf side, especially with the Masters coming up in just less than a month. In fact, I'm doing this at 12:25 on Thursday, 10:21. We are less than 30 days away from tee-off. I can't wait. So excited. It's been quite some time that we've obviously had Masters, missing this from this year. So really excited for that to come. If you join us now, you're going to have access for all of the content we're going to put out for the Masters, including the weekend stuff. Just $29.95 for that month. So come on. No better time to jump on the PGA DFS golf course than now, so come join us. Okay, let's go ahead and head in and talk about the rest of the golfers at 7,400 and below. We've got 48 golfers with a total ownership of roughly 230% this week. Last week we had the exact same amount of golfers, or one, but the ownership was about 30% higher, and that's because we had only 6 Korean PGA Tour players that end up, getting basically no ownership. This week we have 10 or 11 players from the Japanese tours that will likely be owned very, very little, maybe a little bit of ownership on Jazz Watanabe or Takumi Kanaya or Shigo Imahara, but nothing of nature. So that's why we get, roughly 20% less ownership. Still plenty of guys over 10%, including Lanto Griffin, Ryan Palmer, Sebastian Munoz, Billy Horschel, Brian Harmon, Cam Smith. All those almost guaranteed to get over 10%. Also almost guaranteed to get over 10% this week is Cam Champ, and the reason being, last week he was in the $800. He was about 14% owned. Ended up having a decent week. Reason behind all rostering was because we were guaranteed to get him on 16 par 5s as long as he didn't withdraw. Now we get him in California, where he's already won once. We know he's from California. Granted, he's from northern part. This is in Malibu, so it's not like he's that close. But now we get him with 20 par 5s over the next 4 days. Cam Champ, the longest driver, possibly the best driver on the PGA Tour, or at least maybe the best driver in this field behind Rory McIlroy and Bubba Watson. You've got to love hearing that. 20 par 5s over 4 rounds. No surprise that he'll be over 10% on this week. Also getting pretty close, I suspect, is Matt Kuchar, Gary Woodland, whose price is the lowest it's been in a while, Adam Hadwin, and Joel Damon. After that, though, we shouldn't get many guys near 10%. Maybe a couple of more guys over 5%, though. Between that 5 and 10% range, you're going to get like Dylan Fratelli, Mackenzie Hughes, Taylor Gooch coming off a good week, Justin Rose, Byung-Hyun Ahn, Kevin Na, Corey Connors, Kevin Kisner. Jordan Spieth, I think, coming in, obviously, it's been widely reported by myself, and if it's widely reported by myself, I'm sure other people brought it up as well, that he came in 13th in DraftKings scoring last week, even though he came in 38th in the field, still top 15 in DraftKings scoring at $6,900. I'm sure some people will love to gobble that up, including myself. Also having a good week last week at times was Harry Higgs, Richie Werenski, Mark Hubbard. All those guys are on 4 or 5% on this week. Even Tom Hoagie, in fact, actually, he had a pretty good week. He'll be about 4% on this week. So, in terms of my top against the grain plays, I think I just mentioned a couple of them. Mark Hubbard, Tyler Duncan, Tom Hoagie, Danny Lee, Carlos Ortiz, Richie Werenski, Harry Higgs. All those guys popped at least once last week, if not twice, in one of their rounds. So I'll probably have a couple of them in my GPP lines this week, looking for another top 15 out of them, especially with the salary that they're going to give us. Plenty of opportunity to add them and add some other guys, of course, to build out your unique lineup. With only 78 golfers, but if you remove, let's say, 9, we'll say 8 to make it easy, remove 8 of those Korean PGA Tour players, it's only going to leave us roughly 70 golfers to choose from. So, again, that's going to give us an opportunity still to differentiate our lineups. So, if you're looking for more ways to differentiate your lineups or the exact ways that I'm putting together lineups, perfect way to do that is join Ben Raz and I tonight on the Live Before Lock show. It's going to be at 8:30 this afternoon, or this evening, I should say, and we're going to break down everything, any weather, any waves, any withdrawals, anything like that. We're going to break it all down tonight. So join us for that. And, of course, I've got a couple of other pieces of content, especially with my new and upgraded equipment that I have here. I'm going to be doing some more videos, of course, my free ball video and my model breakdown, but those will be running much smoother and hopefully a little bit better in terms of graphics with the ability of my graphics card, new graphics card from NVIDIA, and my new mic, new webcam. I feel like a whole new person over here. But nonetheless, come join me for that. And, of course, I appreciate you coming and listening to this week's Against the Grain pod for the Zozo Championship. And good luck this week, and we will see you on the other side. Cheers.